and text line. So let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard text message and data rates apply.
Yeah, Tennafitzgerald, Blake Moore with me as well. We'll talk hockey, Minnesota Wild hockey specifically with Ryan Carter about a half hour from now. And then Mark Rosen joins in studio. He's back after missing yesterday. He'll join about an hour from now. But now it is time for...
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Brought to you by Willow River Company. Question number 1.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
You had to know this was coming. Wild do-or-die game tonight. Puck drop at 7. You'll hear everything.
I'd call it a must-win.
That's what I would call it. Yeah, it is a must-win. It's a do-or-die, go home, win or go home, that is. Either way, I guess they go home, regardless. This series, I don't know if you know this, Tennaby, the last about a week, I've been over in London with
I did not know that.
With my mom. We went on a huge trip. It took about a year and a half to plan that sucker. And so, yeah, I scheduled it during May, during playoff season, had no faith, yada, yada. So trying to watch the NHL over there, I mean, puck drops are at 2 a.m. And I thought I
feel like they're 2 a.m. here Central Time most of the time.
Sometimes,
as well.
yeah, if they play the Kings, yeah. It was incredibly difficult. And there was one where I stayed up for the first, and I'm like, I'm going to ruin my entire trip if I try to watch the rest of this game because I'm not going to be awake at all for actually doing things. So I
love me some Wild hockey, and I watch like every game. If I'm on a vacation in London, I'm sorry, like I'm not watching a Wild game at 2 a.m.
Well, that's what ended up taking.
That's the choice I would have made.
Yep, and that's where we're at. So my point is, I woke up and watched the highlights of every game without, knowing what the score was. So I got a 10-minute recap. Sure. But I don't know. I wasn't watching stride for stride like I would be if I was here, skate for skate, pass for pass. Is there something that I'm not picking up by just watching the highlights that I wouldn't know because I didn't watch stride for stride? Is there an X factor that I should know trying to catch up with this Avalanche series?
I think there's probably, it's hard to get a gauge for intensity and battle level and focus just watching highlights.
Yeah.
And that's been the weirdest.
Goals are cool.
The weirdest thing of this series is game 1, the Wild looked like a completely different team than we just watched in the Dallas series, right? In a tough series against Stars, the Wild played a certain way and just kind of physically imposed themselves on Dallas. And you're thinking going into the Colorado series, all right, well, we got to replicate that style of play. Obviously, like Colorado's very skilled, and I wasn't expecting 5-on-5 and special teams to be the same that they were in the Dallas series. I'm like, well, Colorado's going to be better 5-on-5 than Dallas was, but they might not be as good special teams as Dallas was. So I thought you'd see some different, but for the Wild to come in game 1 and kind of just treat this like a regular season game, and not that they weren't playing with intensity, but just a lack of detail, lack of focus, wrong side of the puck, giving up odd man rushes. I mean, they left Volstead out to dry in game 1. What you wouldn't know it's weird to say in a game in which Volstead gave up 8 goals, but like, he really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Like it was just awful defense in front of him. They make the goaltender change, which I would not have done. And then Gus gives up 2 goals on the first 2 shots. First one, I think, was a bad goal that he's got to have. And just mentally kind of put you back on the same spot, and they were playing uphill. Game 3, Wild looked exactly like they did in the Dallas Stars series. And you're thinking, all right, well, maybe they are now engaged and focused properly and know this is the style of play we have to play against Colorado Avalanche, and we can be successful if we play that style. And I thought, all right, we're going to have a battle the rest of the way out.
That was a fun 10 minutes to watch, that game 3.
What I did not see coming in game 4 is that Colorado was going to throw that style of play back into the Wild space, right? I expected throughout the rest of the series, Wild will be the more physical team. They'll be the team wanting to play in the corners, wanting to win battles, and Colorado stepped it up in that regard in game 4, and that took me by surprise. And unfortunately, Volstead was great. That's what's disappointing is we ruined a very good Volstead performance in Game 4. He was terrific and couldn't come out with a win. So, I think most Wild fans that have been watching, you think, well, how are we going to beat the Colorado Avalanche 3 times in a row? Is it likely to happen? Sure, probably not. But playoff series are weird. The momentum of playoff series can change in an instant. Right now, we're not feeling great about the Wild. If they come out and spank the Avalanche 5-1 on their home house, and all of a sudden we're all thinking we got a chance to win the series, right? Or Makar McKinnon can get hurt in the middle of the game tonight, and that changes the direction of the series. I'm not cheering for that, but it is a long road ahead here to win 3 in a row against a team that looks like the best team in hockey. But like I said, I think a series can change in an instant, and I still would not rule that out. The Wild are very capable of playing with the Colorado Avalanche. They're very capable of winning a game tonight. And if you can win a game tonight, then you're back home in Game 6, and you never know. So let's just stop trying to look at it as 3 games to go. We got to think of it as let's just win tonight, and then that might change things.
Follow-up question.
Something I did over there, good for me. We did a lot of Harry Potter stuff, a lot of studio tours and locations from that. If you had a magic wand and you could only
that's fine. I have not read a sentence of a Harry Potter book. I have not watched a movie. That's fine. Any of your Harry Potter mentions here, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
That's fine.
Apparently there's a wand involved.
Yeah, there's magic.
Okay.
You have magic wands. If you had a magic wand and you could magically heal one player and only one player, would you heal Joel Eriksson-Ek or Jonas Brodin?
That's not a serious question, is it?
I just want to know.
Well, it'd be Joel Eriksson-Ek. It's not even close. The
second pair on the D, from what I could tell, was not great with Spurgeon and Middleton. I think that's a big hole.
That's why Middleton hasn't been playing there the last 2 games. That's
why I wouldn't.
That's why he got moved down. I mean, Middleton in games 1 and 2, it is the worst 2-game stretch I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
He was a turnover machine. They were on the ice for many goals against. It kind of surprised me because part of what I liked here when we got Quinn Hughes is, man, we got some defensive depth, right? Jake Middleton's a guy who, in his tenure here, has spent time on your first D pairing, and now he's on your 3rd pairing. But the speed of the Avalanche is too much for him. So at least in Games 3 and Game 4, he's been a little bit better because now he's playing more against bottom 6 players than he was going against the McKinnons and the Natcheses of the world. Damon Hunt moved into that spot in Game 3. I thought I actually played a very good Game 3. Game 4, I don't think he was awful. I don't think he was bad, but he did make a mistake on the second goal. I think the first goal in the 3rd period that gave the Avalanche the 2-1 lead. That was him not covering his guy. And when they decided to put Hunt in that spot, my thought was, this is what I would do because Hunt's a better skater than Middleton, and you're going up against a good skating team.
Correct.
You need to have good skaters in your top 4 defensemen because they're going up against the top 6 for the other team. But Damon Hunt is still young. He's still improving. He's never been played in that type of role before. You don't know how he's going to react to having to go against Nathan McKinnon because we haven't seen him in that spot. So overall, I would still keep Hunt there over Jake Middleton because I think Hunt has been better there than Jake. But to expect Damon Hunt to be perfect in that spot the rest of the way, that's probably asking a lot.
I mean, the answer is Eriksson-Ek.
But Eriksson-Ek is, center was our weak spot going into the playoffs.
Yeah. Let
alone you take out your best center against a team that has 3 very good centers in McKinnon, Brock Nelson, and Nazem Kadri. That's the biggest difference of the series is they are very good. They are maybe the best in the league up the middle. And without Eriksson-Ek, we're like the worst in the playoffs up the middle. We're pretty good everywhere else. Our top 6 wings are pretty good. Our defensemen are pretty good. Goaltending's been great. Our bottom 6 is good. We're just not strong at the center. And Urov might get there eventually, but right now he's still young and has a lot of learning to do. Ryan Hartman's not a top-line center, but he just is on our team. Before the trade deadline, this is what we thought we needed, right? Was a first-line center, and we just weren't able to pull the trigger. I still think they'll know this summer they're going to go all in on a first-line center.
25 years, we're still waiting.
They're going to go all in.
One more?
Sure.
Question number 2. It's time now to consider the course.
PGA Championship is this weekend. It's at, and I've had to look up how to pronounce it several times, Aronimink.
I keep feeling it's like those chairs you use on like your patio. Adirondack chairs?
No. I wasn't following.
Okay.
I don't follow patio furniture as closely as I once did. This is going to shock you. Scotty Scheffler is easily the favorite, plus 500. Rory behind him, plus 950. And then kind of everybody else, Jon Rahm, Cam Young, DeChambeau, and then a pretty big gap after that with everybody else. Your attention level to the PGA Championship this weekend, will it be high, middle, or low?
You know, I was just talking to Common yesterday about, didn't even know the PGA Championship was coming up until like yesterday. It hadn't even hit my radar. I hadn't seen it promoted anywhere. And I think a lot of that is, as a Minnesota sports fan, we've just had playoff games every single night that has just been consuming us. There's been no nights off. There has been no nights to like look at other stuff. You've had Wild and Wolves every other night. I've been watching Frost games. They got knocked out of the playoffs yesterday. So like I haven't even like diverted my attention to anything golf related. So if you're asking me who I'm going to bet on,
value bet.
I got a value bet for you. How about 60-1?
Okay,
take 60-1 odds. Chris Gotterup.
I don't hate that.
So he grew up relatively close to where this golf course is. He was in New Jersey, but it's basically close to the Philadelphia area. So I'm sure he's played the course multiple times. It's kind of a home course for him. That's an advantage. He's already won twice on tour this year. He had a third place finish in a major last year. He was in the top 25 in the Masters this year. He can bomb it. He's going to play to win. That's my value bet. Chris Gotterup at 60-1 odds.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
That's it for 5 questions. We will talk to Ryan Carter about the Minnesota Wild in about 15 minutes. But up next, we might talk about the Frost game last night and some breaking Minnesota Vikings schedule news today.
The Fan and BigDeck.com will give you a shot to win bonus bucks for the National Cash Contest. Head to KFAN.com. The keyword is Bills. The keyword is Bills. KFAN.com. Keyword Bills.
Rock the boat. Don't rock the boat. You're on board the Tennafitzgerald.
The power trip is packing up and headed for the island. You can catch the guys live at Treasure Island May 28th and 29th for 2 shows loaded with games, nonstop laughs, and amazing prizes, including trips to Las Vegas. You can book your room now and save 20% with the promo code KFAN. Plus, big announcement you don't want to miss. Get all the details now, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
My favorite athlete in town is Gophers women's golfer Isabella McCauley, mostly because she's a friend of the program, and she's also the only athlete that's ever gotten me a Christmas gift.
Yes.
So throw a couple of Pro V1s and a waggle hat my way. That's how you become my favorite athlete in town. She's killing it right now in the NCAA Ann Arbor Regional. I saw that she's currently tied for first with Ashley Young of Northwestern. So Bella shot a 3-over in her first round. She's now followed it up with a 4-under in round 2. And right now she is 4-under through 16 in round 3. So she's 5-under overall. Like I said, tied for first. I believe the top 6 advance to the NCAA tournament from an individual standpoint, which would give her, she's, 5 strokes clear of the 7th place finisher right now. And like I said, only 2 holes to go. So barring an epic Minnesota sports collapse, it looks like Bella McCauley is going to advance to the NCAA tournament. So congrats to Bella. I did get this wild text question at 64686 from Brant that says, Billy G will need to fix the roster, especially the center spot and potentially aging Zuccarello spot. Hartman wouldn't center a first line on any other team. The last part is correct. Hartman's not a first line center. He's playing there because that's just where we're at. And, he's shown a little bit of chemistry with Zuccarello and Kaprizov over the years. And frankly, Zuccarello and Kaprizov are going to be on the perimeter a lot, and they're going to be passing the puck around a lot. And to have a guy, that can be in the middle of the ice, can do some work in the corners, go to the front of the net, get some tips and deflections, stuff like that. That is Hartman. I think we all know Billy G needs to fix the center spot, and I think he's well aware he needs to fix the center spot, and I think he probably wanted to before the trade deadline, but probably made the smarter decision of we can't give up too many assets right now. I know right now we're in this window of we want to win the Stanley Cup this year, and I get it. We finally have a very good team, and they still technically could. But this has always been a team, assuming Quinn Hughes re-signs here. It is a big if. Yeah. But if Quinn Hughes re-signs, this team has a 3, 4, 5 year window here where they're going to be cup contenders. So part of that is you need to bring in someone else to be a first line center. And if they would have gone out and let's say got a Trocheck, the assets you would have to give up to get a Trocheck would have limited you from potentially maybe being in the Austin Matthews sweepstakes this summer. And so by the time you get to the summer, would you still win the cup with Trocheck on your team? Nah. Who knows? But can you take a big swing at potentially getting an Austin Matthews here this summer and let's go for the next 3-4 years, right? You should have a shot to win it every year. Not that you're going to win it all the time. But
my biggest question with that is when we were talking about that at the deadline, and I was saying the only way, because at the time it was Wally. It was the only way we should trade Wally is if we get a big fish. Yeah. AE, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, etc. Is it still Wally? Because now he looks like your guy. Well, I mean, things have changed since then.
Gus is not going to get you what Wally can.
Yep.
I don't want to trade Volstead. I think he has best goalie in the NHL potential, and he has the mentality that I want in a goalie. He's confident. He's competitive. He's got personality. He doesn't back down in big games. He doesn't fear those moments. And I think the position is too important, and that confidence permeates throughout the rest of your roster. It'd be hard for me. At the very least, if you were going to trade, let's say you needed to trade Volstead to get an Austin Matthews, then I probably need a different goalie solution. I'm not ready to move forward with Gus as our answer for the next 5-6 years. And so unless you have a plan B on how to fix that, and there's another goalie situation elsewhere, I don't know if I'm wanting to get rid of Volstead.
Then the question is, what resources do you use?
Correct. You are correct. That will be a problem. Also on the aging Zuccarello spot, I've heard a lot of concerns about this, especially in the Dallas series when Kaprizov was struggling when Zuccarello was out. What are we going to do with Kaprizov when Zuccarello's not playing anymore? One, I don't think he's going anywhere. I get the number next to his name of age 38 looks bad, but he has shown no signs to me of slowing down. My guess is you're going to get him on a cheap contract. It's going to be a cheap 1-year, 2-year contract. You are going to get more out of him than what his dollar amount's going to be. And long-term, Kaprizov can play with Boldy. That can still work. Boldy's not the exact same player that Zuccarello is. But if you fill out your top 6 elsewhere with an Austin Matthews, or maybe an Austin Matthews might be that guy that jumps on with Kaprizov, and
that'd be nice.
So I think Zuccarello still has more years in him. And I think he'll stay here. And I think he'll settle for a reasonable contract. He's not going to be raking you over the coals, going, hey, can I get $6 million to be here? Here's what my stats say. I should be a $6 million. I don't think he's going to do that. So, I'm not worried about the Zuccarello thing at all until he starts fading.
Couple things.
Also, he plays a style of hockey that, he plays off a cunning and guile. Sorry. The cunning and guile is not going anywhere for the next couple of years. Okay, go ahead.
I want to play the Green Giant bit just to get a pop from Common if he's dares listens back. But games played the last couple seasons for Zuccarello. And I don't think this is an issue, but I've heard this bandied about. This year, 56, or 59, 69, 69, 78, which was good, 70, 42, 65. That's significant time most of the time. I mean, the 78 and 70, good. 69 is okay. You're missing some time. But he is not the most durable of players. That concern you at all with Zuccarello, especially with that 3-8 next to him in the 8.
Well, I feel like all of those seasons, has he had a season-ending injury? Has he missed playoff time?
Oh, this year he did.
Oh, yeah, he did miss a couple.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he took a shot to the head.
Yeah.
If you're getting concussion stuff, I don't know where to rank that on the injury durability. For the most part, I think Zuccarello does a good job of avoiding big hits, right? He's not getting in there battling in the scrums in the corners. If Zuccarello was making $12 million a year, I'd be more concerned about the injury thing. Guys, he's going to give you a hometown discount to stay. He ain't going to be making a lot next year. So, what do you think Matt Zuccarello what is he making this year? Is he making like 4? I'd have to look up what his contract is right now. I'm sorry, I probably should know this.
It can't be much.
Hold on while I Google. Yeah, so he's making his AAV right now is 4.125. You are getting first line production, power play production from a guy making 4.125. Sure, you missed 12 games a season. Who cares? Boo-hoo.
Yeah.
This is not a guy that you're going to sign to a $9 million contract and then when he's not playing completely holds back your entire team. If you want to go that route, then the Joel Eriksson Ek, we should trade him. We should trade Jonas Brodin because they're missing just as much time. All right, we do want to talk with Ryan Carter. I just want to mention one note. The Frost last night, they lost in Montreal. And so they lose that series 3-2. Montreal advances to the Walter Cup Finals. The penalty the Frost got early in the third that led to the power play goal from Marie-Philippe Poulin. Technically, probably a penalty. It was an embellishment. There's just something about basically losing the game. Now, they still had 17 minutes to score after that, and they didn't. I get it that's not the sole reason they lost the game. It just doesn't sit right, though, when, and then even the announcers, can't just call it out and be like, yeah, she really sold. They kept saying she drew the penalty. No, she embellished. She completely embellished that one, and it just doesn't sit right when that embellishment leads to the series clinching goal that leads the team to go to the Walter Cup Finals. We'll talk with Ryan Carter, television analyst for your Minnesota Wild, next right here on the Fitz. Tend to be along with Brett Blakemore, Tennafitzgerald, coming back tomorrow. The Wild first elimination game of the postseason that they are facing. They're taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Game 5 tonight in Denver. Puck drops shortly after 7 o'clock. You'll hear that game right here on the Fan. We're joined by television analyst, former Minnesota Wild player, Ryan Carter. Ryan, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no sweat. Happy to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Were you on vacay last week? Did I hear? Because I tried to have you on for Password. Where'd you go?
No, not a vacation. No vacations this time of year. It's all hockey all the time. But I did have to get down to Southern California for a day or two with some hockey-related stuff. But
got it.
Back now and fully in the mix.
Awesome. Before we talk about Game 4 and preview Game 5, I do want to hear about your experience in Game 3, because I was inside Grand Casino Arena up in the press box watching the game. It was obviously a ruckus in there. Were you outside watching that entire game with the crowd outside of the building?
Well, we started outside, made our way inside. So yeah, so it was good outside to begin. I wasn't in the pit there, I suppose we could call it. Throughout the game, I made my way inside, but I tell you what, they did a good job on that watch party, setting it up, and whoever ordered the weather did a good job. I think we've been longing for hockey in shorts here in Minnesota, and that was kind of the first taste of it. So exciting to be in the second round and to be able to host an event like that with some weather that you can kind of count on, like the fan base showed up. Wild did a good job hosting, and it was a blast out there.
So Game 3, the Wild win 5-1. They kind of look like they did in the Dallas series, and I thought, well, maybe that's the blueprint, right, on how you play the Colorado Wild Avalanche. What'd you see either from Colorado's side or Minnesota's side that changed in Game 4 that did not allow us to have that same effort?
Yeah, good question. I think it's kind of come down to desperation at this point. I think the first 2 games in Colorado, Minnesota felt that they didn't play their best game, and whether it be because they, it was a quick turnaround and they maybe didn't have the time to mentally prepare for that series like they did for Dallas. And I think you have to factor that in. They knew they were playing Dallas from about the trade deadline on, or at least felt that that was the highest probability. It came to fruition. So they knew what to expect, and I think they were mentally prepared in what the series was going to look like and how they were going to have to play to win. And they were able to do that. And I think what happened a little bit in those first 2 games is they thought for round 2, oh, great, now we did accomplish one of the toughest things in hockey is get through the Dallas Stars. They had been to the West Final each of the last 3 years, but as a reward, we get the Colorado Avalanche, who were the President's Trophy team. So we've got to play a little bit better. And you can almost feel their voices kind of pick up tempo and pace because it was a different animal. And I think they tried to play Colorado's game in Game 1 and 2, and Colorado's just, quite frankly, better at it. So Game 3, Minnesota comes home, a little desperation, a little better energy. They get physical. They start to play their game. And for me, the series has kind of come down to the bottom 6, where Colorado's bottom 6, if you allow them to play, they're fast and they forecheck, they pressure your D, but at the same time, they're able to turn plays and move the puck to open ice. They use the high slot. They spread you out a little bit. So that makes Colorado's group just feel and be that much faster or more fast and skilled. So I think they took that away from them in Game 3 with their physicality, and the Wild's bottom 6 was able to say, all right, let's get on the forecheck. Let's play straight line hockey. And then our skill starts to show after we turn a puck over, we make a quick play, and then it ends up in the back of the net. So the Wild's bottom 6, and even the way that they played, I think, kind of motivated their top 6 to play that way. And then Game 4, what happened was, I think the Wild felt like, okay, we have a series again now, and they got away from what worked for them in Game 3, and that was some physicality. That's a direct style of play, straight line hockey, understanding that, their path to success is good defense, manage the puck well, wear the other team down, and then capitalize on your chances when you get them. And I think they got away from that. And Ted, I look at the play from McCarron on Manson as really the turning point in that game. So the forecheck's starting to show up. Manson hadn't been in the series. He gets hit, and he comes in as Colorado's supposed tough guy. He right away takes a penalty, a double minor, the Wild score on that power play. And if the Wild from that point on just sat on the bench and said, we've got them where we want them, they're second guessing themselves, play hard, play physical, do it the right way, I think they've got them. They showed weakness by putting Blackwood in the net. Blackwood didn't look great. He gave up the first goal. So it was like, okay, things are shaping up. But then they changed their game. They're like, all right, now let's see if we can't beat Colorado at their game. And that allowed Colorado to get back into the game and ultimately win it.
I was going to ask you about Blackwood. They made the change to have him start in Game 4. He at least had a little bit of action there in Game 3 when Wedgwood got pulled down 3-0 in Game 3. But what did you see from Blackwood? I don't think the Wild ultimately, weren't getting on odd man rushes, weren't getting a lot of great power play looks, weren't getting a lot of just shots from the slot. But it seemed like all the chances they had were just chaotic scrums in front of Blackwood. But he seemed to stand tall. What do you know about him previously, and is there a different way we can attack him?
Well, it's interesting, Colorado's crease, because here locally the story has been about Minnesota's crease and how it was Gustafson's net, and then Volstead was good down the stretch. Colorado's net was always up in the air throughout the year, too, and it just hasn't been talked about as much because Colorado swept that first-round series and Wedgwood was good. But Blackwood was coming into the season as their number 1. And Wedgwood was their number 2, but Blackwood was hurt. Wedgwood played. He won, somewhere around 10 games in a row. And boom, all of a sudden now there's a goalie controversy in Colorado. down the stretch, I actually think Bednar tried to give Blackwood the reins, and he struggled a little bit to just take them and go with them. Now, his numbers aren't terrible. Neither were Wedgwood's. They were great because the team out in front was great. But Wedgwood was the better goalie, so he gets game one in the first round, and then he gets game one in the second round. They win that one, even though it's not great, but they stick with him. But I don't think that there was ever a huge amount of confidence in Derek Crease or in Scott Wedgwood. There's always like this cloud above him that, he's like a career backup journeyman a little bit. But can Blackwood step in and be good? I think the Wild had him on the ropes, much like Gustafsson was on the ropes in game 2 for Minnesota. But the Wild let them off the hook, or let Blackwood off the hook a little bit by just not putting enough volume on the goaltender. At times I thought he looked scrambled. His comments post-game were interesting because he said, I didn't feel great, but I felt pretty good considering the fact I had 25 days off. That was his quote. He's counting the days he had off. Like he had excuses cooked into his post-game presser, and I think the Wild just didn't do enough to pressure him. I actually thought, though, that he made a couple of big saves. One of the stories of this playoffs, in my opinion, is kind of in post-play from goaltender. Wyatt Johnson scored one off the end wall, I think in game 2 for Dallas. Yeah. I think Marcus Foligno got one in that Dallas series too. And when post play is sloppy and those pucks off the end wall find their way into the back of the net, it seems that the team that gets that goal wins the game. And Blackwood made one save for me that was kind of defining. It was off the end wall, and he's able with his left pad to athletically kick it back there and steer it away from the net. And that for me, that was like a big save. And I think the game probably turned on that one a little bit, even though it seems rather benign, a puck off the end wall. But I think that was probably his best save of the game. If the Wild continue, though, to just pressure him with shots like that off the end wall from different angles, I think they'll be able to find some daylight through him.
Obviously, Matt Boldy, I think you could argue in the Dallas series, maybe the best player on the Wild, has not had the same success in this series. His only goal was an empty netter. Clearly, not having Joel Eriksson Ek as the center is an impact. But even besides that, Ryan, in Game 4, three consecutive power play entries where he's turning the puck over. He still seems to be a little bit out of character, regardless of who his line mates are. What have you been seeing from Matt Boldy in this series, and why Colorado is successively shutting him down?
Yeah, I'd say I have a couple thoughts on that. What makes this Wild club seem different than years past is that they have the ability to lean on different stars, and we might even be able to throw superstar in there, because I think Matt Boldy's quickly becoming one of those. And they can pass the torch. It doesn't have to be one guy. Years past, it was Kirill Kaprizov has to be dynamite from the first game of the playoffs through the time that they're done, or the Wild don't have a chance. Now they have a legitimate stable of probably 4 guys, and if Eriksson is healthy, maybe 4.5 guys, where they can lean on to create offense and really help them win a series. Boldy was that guy in the Dallas series. The hope was after Game 3 that Kaprizov would maybe find some confidence and be that guy now. But I think that series for Dallas set up well for Matt Boldy. You look at their D-core and the way that they play. It's Heiskanen, Lindell. They had the 2 big guys in Tyler Myers and Bischel. They were more size, less skating. And with that, I think Matt Boldy, who's a good, strong player, his calling card probably isn't top line speed or quickness. He's got quick hands and he's agile. He can play, but he's not top line speed kind of guy. And Colorado's D-core is now set up much different. You have Makar, Taves, Malinsky, who's out last game, but some of these guys that Burns. I think are more mobile in their defense. And with that, I think Boldy's had a harder time kind of getting the puck with possession in the scoring area. They've been able to defend him with their feet more than with their shoulders. And if you think about that Dallas series, how many times did we see Matt Boldy just holding somebody on his back, trying to win a physical battle, driving to the net? In this series, he's not been able to do that as much, I think, because the Colorado D-core and their forwards, who can skate well too with back pressure, are almost able to get a half a step on him and break plays up before he gets into those tight spaces.
He's also spending a lot more time in his own zone, which doesn't help. I saw a stat after Game 4 that Danil Yurov, even though he had the power play goal, 5-on-5 in Game 4 shot attempts when he was on the ice, 21-0 in favor of Colorado. Obviously, without Joel Eriksson Ek, there's not a lot of options on what you can do with your top 6, and especially at the center position. But for Game 5 tonight, Would you just throw Boldy, Urov, and Johansson back out there because there's not a lot of other options, or is there any kind of lineup change you would make to try to help spur Boldy?
Yeah, I'm not a coach. I'll throw that out there. But one thing I would change is, and Hines has been really good with this in the past. The guys that are going, he gives more minutes to. And I think what the Wild lost for a stretch of time there in Game 4 was their identity again. So I'd almost put guys up there and maybe McCarron might be the answer. He's not like your long-term answer, but what you're trying to do is buy time till you can get Eriksson back. It might make sense to put a McCarron up there with a Kaprizov and a Zuccarello, a guy that can win a bunch of board battles, can create a loose puck, and then allow Kaprizov and those guys to jump on those loose pucks, almost drag them in to be a forward two, right there for support two kind of thing. I just think from an identity standpoint, Urov does a good job. He as a player probably fits the mold and the skill set of a number 2 centerman more than McCarron does right now.
Yeah.
But I think if the Wild are going to win this series, it looks very different than what a traditional number 2 centerman looks like. And I think putting a guy like McCarron up there and even using some of their depth guys in spot situations to be fast. I think Trenyon could be an asset that they use in their top 6 at times. Just go be a heat-seeking missile. We saw the hit on Makar Game 1 of the Colorado series that put Makar out for a period. Why not put a heat-seeking missile out there against him as much as you can and say, here's your objective. Go get in his kitchen. See if he doesn't turn a couple pucks over. See if you don't get the attention of the Avalanche. So those are the lineup changes that I would make, is probably just spot those guys in and get them more ice, get them up to 14, 15 minutes in the game versus having them play somewhere around 10.
How about in the blue line? Damon Hunt has spent the last 2 games in that second pairing with Jared Spurgeon. Middleton was moved down to the third pairing. How have you thought Damon Hunt has reacted to playing top 4 minutes in a National Hockey League playoff series against a highly skilled offensive team? And would you keep those D pairings the same tonight?
I would keep the D pairs the same tonight. I think in that one, they're caught.
Yep.
Tough spot. The blue line does have depth, but I think Jake Middleton's kind of fighting the puck right now too, and without confidence, it's hard to say, all right, go find it. Here's more opportunity for you. Here's more minutes. I do think too that the skill set of Damon Hunt matches up better against Colorado than a Jake Middleton's does there. Damon Hunt has the ability to skate and move and close a little bit better. So maybe give him an opportunity to watch the videotape, use that game as an experience builder and see if he can't bounce back and do something. But again, Hines has proven that he's pretty prepared going into games to be able to make changes on the fly. And I wouldn't be surprised if he mixes things up, but you think about the options that he has. It's Petrie right now, and either elevating Bogosian or somebody like that. I just don't know that that's the answer. So I think they kind of have to roll with it the way that it is.
All right, a couple more questions for former Stanley Cup champion Ryan Carter. Also does television analysis for the Minnesota Wild. Jesper Wallstedt, I thought he was just absolutely terrific in Game 4 and disappointing they couldn't win despite the performance he had. Obviously, he's played the vast majority of the games so far in these playoffs. Ryan, he was a guy that his name was in the trade rumors a little bit going before the deadline, because if you're going to go out and get a big star, he was kind of your biggest lure into bringing someone else in just because he was such a highly regarded prospect. Has his performance in the playoffs, I don't know what you thought of him at that time about whether you'd be considering trading him or not, but has his performance in the playoffs changed at all what you think his long-term future is here in Minnesota?
I think it has changed what his long-term future was. I think the Wild were always probably reluctant to deal him. Gustafsson signed the extension, so you know that you had a guy that can carry the majority of the load and that you're comfortable with the way that he plays. And I think at times Gustafsson maybe frustrates because he'll give up some soft goals throughout stretches. But if you look at the complete body of work, his numbers are pretty good. And in the playoffs, his numbers are pretty good too. So you had a guy that you think could be your number one goaltender and a guy that you think you could probably win with. And Wallstedt was kind of the number 2, the goalie in waiting. But his rise this year created, a ton of value. I think after last year, for him, where he struggled throughout the year mightily, even at the American League level. At times, maybe throughout the Brass's mind, it was, hey, if we can get something for this guy, it might be worth flipping him now. But his consistency and his attitude and his demeanor this year, I think, have proven that he's learned something. And you don't want to give up on a blue chip prospect just because he has one down year. He's bounced back, been great. And if I'm Bill Guerin, general manager of the Minnesota Wild, I do not give up on Jesper Wallstedt. He's got that it factor when it comes to the mentality, the want, and the desire. Like, even if you think about goaltenders now, not many have the Connor Hellebuck mindset where they want the net 60 to 70 times, and Wallstedt seems like he's that kind of guy.
Agree.
Like, he wants it. So if you get a goaltender like that, that's pretty darn special. And I don't know what you'd have to give up to get a guy like that. You think about what you'd have to give up to get Connor Hellebuck. I mean, it'd be something similar,
Yeah. Two more questions for you. I wanted to ask you about Kaprizov, just the one shot on goal in Game 4 after he had a very good performance in Game 3 with the 3 points. Did the Avs defend him any differently? Did he just play more east-west and didn't have the same focus? What did you see out of 97 in Game 4?
Yeah, I think that there was a little bit more attention paid to him on the back pressure. I think that line in general, and Kaprizov wasn't able to create the room in the middle of the ice or off the rush, and that forced them to make plays both entering and leaving the end zones. And without a high level of execution, they got caught not doing things well. But I think that's forever been the frustration in playoff hockey for Kirill Kaprizov. And I think he's got great chemistry with Matt Zuccarello, but without somebody that can really hound and play heavy hockey around the yellow dasher, if that's your team's identity, he's the guy that kind of has to do that. And I think in Game 3, he was willing to be the guy on the perimeter, winning the board battles, trying to find somebody through the open ice in the middle, and it worked for him. But I think his skill set and his natural probably style of play is different than that. And he'd really be complimented in playoff hockey if you could find somebody that can do a lot of the grinds. Exactly like an Eriksson Ek. If you put an Eriksson Ek with Kaprizov, we're not having this conversation right now, I don't think. And I'm not throwing shade on Ryan Hartman. I just think that Eriksson Ek's that good at it, and that allows Kaprizov to do what he does best. And I think at times in the playoffs, he's caught in between, being like, I don't want to be the wall guy. I got a skill set to be the guy that can make plays in the middle of the ice, but I've got to be the wall guy. And I think Colorado did a good job forcing him to be a wall guy and take high-risk plays just for him to try to create offense.
Over the course of history, the Wild have had some success in the playoffs at Colorado, but we hear about how Colorado's been very good, at least against the Wild recently at home. Other than the Avalanche just always being a good team, what is it about Ball Arena in particular and that's challenging to play in? And did you have a rink during your NHL career where it was just a complete struggle for you or whatever team you're on?
Ironically, yes. What it is about Ball Arena, I don't know. I do not subscribe to the theory that the altitude has an effect. I didn't feel it. No, I didn't play a ton of minutes every night, but I didn't feel the effect of the altitude. I think Colorado's just a good team, and Bednar's a pretty darn good coach. So when he gets last change and they're able to get momentum, use the crowd, the energy provided there, that they're pretty good on home ice. That said, I think it's been since 2008, if I read this right, and I think It was against the Minnesota Wild. Colorado hasn't won a series clinching game on home ice.
Which is crazy.
0 for 8 over that stretch. So at Ball Arena in the playoffs on elimination games, they've not done well at home. So interesting little note there. But for me, the arenas in Arizona, I stunk. It didn't matter what time of day, who I was there with. It felt like I was skating with cinder blocks on my feet. It was awful every time. But on the flip side of that, there was one arena that I felt great every time I was there. It didn't matter. And that was the old Joe Louis Arena. Every time I was in Detroit, just walking into that place, it felt great. I played my best hockey there. It's just unfortunate maybe I didn't wear the Red Wing jersey because maybe I could have had you
could have been a top 6 forward if you would have signed in free agency in Detroit.
That's right. Hockey DB would have a few more crooked numbers for me. Yeah.
Got an email that says, please tell Ryan, as an avid long-term hockey guy, I really miss him and LaPanta on the broadcast. I would concur. I do miss you two. You two do a great job. So it's been challenging listening to the national guys instead of you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. What I would say to that is the broadcast is only in part Anthony and I. It's the crew in the truck that do such a great job, too, setting Anthony and I up. And they understand, I think, hockey and hockey in Minnesota and what the fans want to see. And I appreciate hearing that the fans here enjoy it, because it's not just Anthony and I. It's everybody in the truck that try to put our best foot forward to give the best product that we can. So thank you for that.
That was such a classic hockey player deflection where you don't take any credit for anything. I mean, you can't take the compliment. You got to immediately just credit your teammates. That was very hockey player of you there.
Yeah, following protocol, I guess. But in this scenario, it's true. That's not cliche. That's actually true. The truck people are good. So. All
right, Ryan, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And I'm hoping at least in the next week or two we can still have more conversations like this, because the Wild will still be playing.
All right, I like it. Thanks, Brandon.
All right, Ryan Carter, former Minnesota Wild player. He's won a Stanley Cup before. He's hoisted the cup. Well, let's move on from Carter to a Hall of Famer, Mark Rosen. He's back. He joins the Tennafitzgerald next.
Taking on water once again.
Lower the lifeboats. Lower the lifeboats.